Good morning and warm welcome to you all. I am Vaibhav, your host for today. Our topic for today is ISO 13485 2016 compliance requirements. It shall taken by Ms. Mithila More. She shall cover ISO 13485 2016 standard overview, risk management, design and development, regulatory requirements, followed by question and answer session. Our agenda for today is virtual inauguration by Dr. Sundar Kataria, invoking the blessing of deity, chanting of Gayatri Mantra, introduction of speaker, presentation by Ms. Mithila More, question and answer session, and last closing session. About Sadgun Sangh. Sadgun Sangh conceived and led by Dr. Sundar Kataria, driven with the mission to elevate the quality, safety, and environmental awareness levels of industry. Sadgun Sangh is a series of educative, informative events aiming to illuminate professionals on possible solutions to current issues of industry and economy. About Dr. Sundar Kataria, designation and organization, Chairman and Managing Director, International Certification Services Private Limited. His academic qualification, Doctorate in Business Management, Mechanical Engineer. His experience, Rajasthan Atomic Power Project, India's first nuclear power plant, RAPP, at Rawatbata, Kota, built by Indian engineers. Worked as nuclear scientist for 11 years and successfully completed and commissioned the plant. Engineers India Limited, first batch of engineers to develop Bombay High offshore oil and gas fields, mega offshore complex platform, trunk and submarine pipelines, underwater inspection, oil and gas equipment, etc. DNV, world largest classification society, worked for 17 years at various capacity for the certification of fixed offshore installations, submarine pipelines, onshore projects, and personnel qualification, underwater inspection divers. ICS. He is founder of India's first certification conformance assessment body established in the year 1999, provider of total quality solution, certification of management system, ISO, inspection, testing, and training qualification of personnel. Achievements and awards. Received Lifetime Achievement Award for the contribution for the corrosion technologies from NACE International by NIGIS under NACE USA. Social worker, protection of life, asset, environment, and safety. So now I request Kataria sir to please virtually inaugurate the session.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः.
Please join us for the recitation of the Gayatri Mantra. Introduction of our today keynote speaker, Ms. Mithila More. Her designation and organization, founder, Aspire Qualitech. Her academic qualification, BSc Microbiology in 1996 from University of Mumbai, with first class MSc in microbiology in the year 1998 from Mumbai University, Diploma in Business Management from Wellinger Institute of Management, Development and Research, Mumbai with A grade, postgraduate diploma in Patents Law from Nalsar University of Law, Hyderabad, postgraduate diploma in Regulatory Affairs from VPMS Advanced Study Center, Thane. Her area of specialization and experience: work in pharmaceutical industry for 20 years at various positions from microbiologist to manager, quality assurance, experience in facing the complying to various regulatory and customer audits during professional career, presently working as a freelance consultant for quality systems and its compliance auditor and trainer from Feb 2019, gap analysis, implementation and compliance to WHO GMP and various other regulatory requirements for pharmaceutical industry. Please welcome Mithila ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Vaibhav, for this introduction. And good morning and welcome to you for today's webinar. We'll shortly start with the presentation. Yeah, is the screen visible to all?
Yes, ma'am. Just make it to full screen, ma'am.
Yeah. Yeah, is it visible? Yeah, now it's okay.
Yeah, ma'am. Now it's perfect.
Yeah. So let us start with the today's webinar. The today's topic is ISO 13485 2016 Medical Devices Quality Management System Compliance Requirement. So in this today's webinar, we will be covering the overview of ISO 13485 2016 standard requirement, then specifically the risk assessment, design and development requirement related to this standard, and the regulatory requirement for the compliance of this 13485 requirement. So this ISO 13485 2016 is basically for the medical devices, that is the quality management of the medical devices. So it is designed to ensure that organizations who are involved in either the designing of the medical devices, production, installation, servicing, or the distribution of the medical devices, they meet the regulatory and the customer requirement. So this is the basic aim for designing this particular standard, which is specifically for medical devices. So the key requirement, like it is based upon the risk base, that is a risk-based approach. It focuses on the risk management and regulatory compliances throughout the product life cycle, that is from the designing phase to the post-marketing surveillance. So what are the risks associated and what are the regulatory requirements associated with your process or with your product? So that is basically the key feature of this particular standard, which ensures that your product is safe. It ensures that the patient safety and product is effectively giving its performance. Then process-oriented quality management system. It emphasizes on a systematic approach to managing the quality processes. So based upon your product, based upon the processes, you need to identify your processes and processes related to the design and development and the post-marketing surveillance, and you ensure that you meet the customer as well as the regulatory requirement. Then comes the regulatory compliances. It aligns with the global medical device regulation, that is FDA or MDR requirement. Then supplier and outsourcing control. It requires a strict monitoring of the supplies, whatever raw materials, packing material, or any services which you are rendering from your vendors, so that you need to comply and ensure that your whatever raw materials or the packing material or any inputs which you are using for your product, it ensures the product safety and effectiveness. Then documentation and traceability. It ensures the detailed record of the processes related to the quality control, design, and risk management. So this include the design history record, risk assessment, and regulatory compliances record. So now we will be discussing about the various clauses which are related to ISO 13485-2016. So there are total 8 clauses. So clause number 1 is a scope, then second is a normative references, third is a terms and definition, fourth is a quality management system, and fifth is a management responsibility, sixth is a resource management, seventh is a product realization, and eighth is a measurement analysis and improvement. So these are total 8 clauses related to this standard requirement. So let us now try to understand what is the requirement related to this particular clauses, or what are the key takeaways related to these clauses. So clause number 4, see basically clause number 1 is related to the scope. Scope is related to the boundary, what are your activities. Based on that you need to define your scope. The normative references include the references, that is a regulatory requirement or any references which will be using for the implementation. Then 3 will be the terms and definitions. So what are the terminologies which will be using in this standard? So these terms are defined in this clause number 3. Then clause number 4 is a quality management system. So in quality management clause number 4, there are 2 subclauses. That is clause number 1 is a general requirement and clause number 2 is the documentation requirement. So what are the documents, which documents you need to maintain regarding this implementation of this standard? So basically the quality manual, then medical devices file, then control of documents. So how you will be controlling your documents and your records. Yes, so what is the control of document and what is the control of records? So what is your methodology? Basically how you ensure that the valid versions of your procedure, valid versions of your formats are in use, and whatever are the obsolete documents are not in the use. So what is the control? So this you need to define. So basically this clause outlines the general requirement for establishing, documenting, implementing and maintaining an effective quality management system specifically for your medical devices. So first thing you need to define is role undertaken by the organization. So what is your, as an organization, whether you are a manufacturer, whether you are a distributor or you are an importer, first you need to identify or define the role, and then define the applicable processes which are related to your role. Okay, so if you are a manufacturer, so what would be the applicable processes, right? The receipt of the material, then issuance of the material, then the dispensing of the material, then the manufacturing of the product, then the filling or the packing of the product, and the final dispatch. So this will be the applicable process for the manufacturer. If you are an importer or if you are a distributor, then the processes will be slightly different. Then once you identify these processes, then try to define the sequence of the processes, because one after the other you need to carry out the processes and you need to understand the importance of the interaction of these processes. Because if any one of the processes, if you skip or if you don't follow as per your defined system, then whole process will collapse, okay, or you will not get the required output. Then once you identify the sequence of the processes and its interaction, then determine the criteria. What would be your criteria and what would be your method to ensure that the process will be effectively performed, or what are your controls on these processes? Then identify what would be the applicable requirement. Okay, what would be the applicable regulatory requirement? What kind of license you would like to, what would be applicable for that? Then any specific regulations are applicable for your process. Like if you are a X-ray manufacturer, then it will be a different kind of regulatory requirement. If you are a medical device manufacturer, like for normal type A or class B or class A type of the product, then the regulatory requirement will be different. Then define the outsourced processes. For carrying out the processes which you have identified, if you require any outsourced processes, you need to identify those outsourced processes and what would be the what would be the control mechanisms for on these outsourced processes. Then define the procedure for control of documents and records. So how you will be controlling your documents and record, how you will be giving the identification numbers, revision controls, or the signatories related to your documents and records, how you will ensure the current version of the document is in place and not the people are using the old versions of the document. So you need to define the procedure. Then as per the defined requirement, you need to maintain the applicable records and the procedures. So basically for clause number 4, what would be the applicable documented information? So basically the quality manual, your procedures, procedure manual, process interactions, then validation of the computer system if you are using any software or the computer system for your QMS related activity, you need to validate that. Then what are list of outsourced processes and how you will be controlling that. Then medical devices file, then list of records, list of documents, list of external origin document, then the retention period of these documents. So this is the applicable documented information pertaining to clause number 4. Then basically what are the key takeaways? So clause 4 establishes the foundation for risk-based quality management system for medical devices. It requires the process identification, documentation, control, and improvement to ensure the compliance and the product quality. Then document control and record management are critical for the traceability and the regulatory compliances. So this is related to clause number 4. Then clause number 5 is the management responsibility. So in management responsibility, clause number 5 is the management commitment. Clause number 5.2 is customer focus. 5.3 is quality policy. 5.4 is planning. In planning, there are again subclauses, that is 5.4.1, that is quality objectives. Then 5.4.2 is quality management system planning. Clause number 5 is related to the responsibility, authority, and communication. So there are subclauses like manage responsibility and authority, then appointment of the management representative. Clause number 5.3, 5.5.3 is the internal communication, how the communication will be done internally within your organization. Then 5.6 is a management review. So what would be the input, that is the agenda for your management review meetings? Then what would be your frequency for conducting the audit? So that you need to define. And then clause number 5.6.3 is the review output. So what based on some agenda, you must have conducted the management review meeting. So the minutes of the management review meeting should be recorded, should be documented. So basically clause number 5 outlines the responsibilities of the top management in ensuring the effective implementation, maintenance, and continual improvement of the quality management system specifically for the medical device. Here you need to define the quality policy. So organization has to have a quality policy, then define the quality objectives, then define the organization structures. You need to define organization structure for your organization. You need to create different levels in the organization. So define responsibility authorities for all the personals who are part of the organization structure. So appoint the management representative, conduct management review meetings, okay, and then record these minutes of the management review meeting. So identify the customer and regulatory requirement, and if there are any specific customer specific requirement for the specific product or any regulatory requirement, then you need to identify, the management has to identify, and also they need to comply with those requirements. Otherwise, you will not be able to fulfill the customer requirement or the regulatory requirement. Then applicable documented information would be, you need to define the quality policy. The organization has to have a quality policy, and it is to be communicated within the organization either by display or giving the trainings. Then organization chart. So as a top management, you need to define the organization chart. Then objective for the organization. So objective for the organization, and also you can have a departmental objective for various your functions. Then define the roles, responsibility and authority, and these roles, responsibility and authorities should be communicated to the concerned person by taking the signatures or by communicating by emails. So this is what this you need to define. You need to define your system. Then appoint a management representative. So that person will be the coordinator between the top management and the employees of your organization. Then agenda for MRM, as per the requirement of the standard, there is what are the inputs for this management review meetings are defined in the standard. So based on that, you have to have a agenda for management review meeting. And then once the management review meeting is completed, you need to record the minutes of the meeting. Then there are some applicable SOPs related to this clauses that you need to maintain. So basically, the top management plays a critical role in ensuring the quality management system meets customer, regulatory, and business needs also. Then management commitment and leadership drive the QMS success. Then management has to have a regular reviews and the continuous improvements, which are essential for the compliance and for the product quality also. Then coming to the clause number 6 is basically the resource management. In resource management's clause number 6.1 is the provision of the resources. So clause number 6.2 is the human resources. 6.3 is the infrastructure. 6.4 is work environment and contamination control. In 6.4, there are sub-clauses, that is 6.4.1 is work environment and 6.4.2 is contamination control. So basically, clause number 6 focuses on ensuring that the organization has the necessary resources in terms of the personnel, infrastructure, and work environment. So this will depend upon your type of the product or type of the processes. Okay, for example, if you are manufacturing a sterile product, then the work environment or the infrastructure would be different from a non-sterile product. Okay, so basically this focuses on the necessary resources to implement and maintain the effective quality management system for the medical devices. So in this pertaining to clause number 6, you need to have a competent people. Okay, so define the competency matrix or define the competence for the personnel which are part of your organization chart, and ensure the awareness of the people. So they are aware of the activities or the processes they need to perform. Okay, then based on that, you need to identify the training requirements. So identify the training needs and then give them the training. And then after giving the training, evaluate the effectiveness of the training. So that is very important. So not only giving the training is important, but once you have given the training, evaluate the people for the effectiveness. Okay. So provide adequate infrastructure which prevents the product mix-up and uniflow of the processes. Whenever you are designing the infrastructure, you ensure that there is a Prevention, there is a unidirectional flow of the process, and your infrastructure prevents the mix-up of your products. Okay. Then provide equipments, hardware and software, which is based on your requirement, which is based upon your product or process requirement. So proper tools and technologies for the design, production and testing. Then you need to provide the supporting services like logistic, IT, calibration, maintenance, etc. So that should be reliable systems should be provided to ensure that your operations are not interrupted. Okay. So you need to have these support systems also so that your output is as per the targeted plan. Then provide work environment and contamination control with microorganisms and particulate matter. This also depends upon the type of the product, type of the device you are manufacturing, and what is the process involved in that. Then define the requirement for health checkup. You need to carry out the health checkup of your employees. So you need to define the frequency. You need to define the checkpoints for health checkup. If people are involved in the inspection of the product, so you need to perform the eye checkup. You need to include the eye checkup, or they are free from any contagious disease. So based upon the processes they are carrying out, you need to define your requirement for health checkup, define the frequency for health checkup, then ensure the cleaning practices are in place. You define the frequency, the which type of disinfectant you will be using, what kind of concentrations, and what is the frequency of cleaning. So that you need to define. Then use of PPEs. So use of PPEs also depends upon the type of the processes or type of the product you are manufacturing. So based on that, you need to define the usage of the PPs and how you will be using those PPs should be displayed so everyone is aware. So what are the applicable documented informations related to clause number 6? Again, there are SOPs, then work instructions. So SOPs would be basically for the training and evaluation, then control of the work environment, contamination control, then health checkup SOPs, cleaning SOPs. So that will be that you need to define under SOPs, work instruction, then competency matrix, training records, training evaluation records, then facility layouts, then maintenance records of your facility, maintenance records of your equipment, then equipment logbooks, facility monitoring records. So facility monitoring record may be a temperature, humidity, or if you are using the sterile or the classified areas, then differential pressure gauges, differential pressure monitoring, microbiological environment monitoring, health checkup record, cleaning record. So these are the applicable documented information related to clause number 6. So basically the key takeaways are the sufficient resources should be provided in terms of the people, in terms of the infrastructure, work environment, they are critical for maintaining the effective quality management system. So employees should be competent, they should be trained, ensure the quality and the regulatory compliances. Proper infrastructure and work environment helps in maintaining the product safety and the performance. So contamination control measures prevent the risk in the medical device production. So let us move to the next clause, which is clause number 7, which is a product realization. So this is basically a product realization, right? From the planning to the post marketing. So this is there are a number of requirements for associated with clause number 7. So clause number 7.1 is planning of the product realization. Then 7.2 is customer related processes. So maybe the determination of the requirements related to the product, then review of the requirements related to the product, then communication of this requirement. Then clause number 7.3 is basically the design and development. So this is related to the new product design and development or any changes in the existing product. So how you will be dealing with these design related, how you will be addressing the requirement related to the design and development that is mentioned in this specific clause. That is 7.3 is the general requirement. Then 7.3.2 is planning of design and development. Then comes the input of design development, then output, then review of the design and development, then verification, validation, then design transfer, then control of design and development changes. Then 7.3.10 is a design development file. So we will be covering this in detail. Then 7.4 is a purchasing. It basically exclusively about the purchasing process. 7.4.1 is a purchasing process. 7.4.2 is a purchasing information. Then 7.4.3 is a verification of the purchased product. Then comes the production and service provision that is addressed in 7.5. So control of production and service provision, cleanliness of the product, installation activities, okay, servicing activities, particular requirement for sterile medical devices. So validation of the processes or for the production and service provision. Then 7.5.7 is particular requirement for validation of the processes for sterilization and sterile barrier system. Then 7.5.8 is the identification. Then comes the traceability, customer property, preservation of the product. Okay, then comes 7.6 is the control of monitoring and measuring equipment. So basically, this clause or this outlines the requirement for the planning of your product or the process, development, then the production and delivery of the medical devices. It ensures that the organization meets the customer as well as the regulatory requirement while maintaining the product quality and safety. So here basically you need to define the risk. What are the risks associated with your product or with your process, and define the control measures in the product realization. So product realization right from the design and development stage to the marketing of the product or the dispatch of the product. Then determine specific regulatory or customer requirement related to the product. Then define the communication matrix. So what would be your, how the information will be communicated within the organization. So which information, what kind of information, who will be responsible for communication of this information, how it will be communicated, what could be the frequency of communication. So that you need to define in your communication matrix. Then define the criteria for supplier assessment. So define the criteria for assessing your suppliers. And what is your criteria? You need to re-evaluate your suppliers so that they are meeting the your requirements. So they need to re-evaluate. Maybe you can define the frequency yearly or 6 monthly. That is based on the risk-based approach you can take. You can define the frequency. Then define specifications for verification of your incoming material. So here you need to define your quality plan, or you need to define the specifications. So on what basis you will verify your incoming material, and also your finished product or your in process controls. Then define process for the manufacture of device. So what would be your process for manufacturing of the device? Then define the requirement for contamination control. So if there are any specific requirement for the biological or any such specific requirement regarding the contamination control, you need to define. Then define the validation protocol. So if there are any key or critical processes, if you are carrying out, you need to validate. So define the protocol for validation study, and based on that, you conduct the validation study. So define the system for identification and traceability. So how you will be identifying your product, either by batch number or serial number or any kind of mechanism that will be applicable for your product. So then traceability, how you can trace back your product in case of any complaint or any query, you should be able to trace back. So you need to have a traceability of your product. Then define the requirement for preservation of the product. So preservation of product include not only for the final product, but also for the incoming material. If there are any specific temperature, humidity, or any specific requirement for the storage or preservation of the product, that you need to identify and define the requirement. And once you define, you need to monitor whether that is in line with our procedure. Then define your calibration and verification requirement. So if you are having instruments, you need to calibrate those with the defined frequency of calibration. Then define the calibration matrix, then verification requirement. Then there are number of applicable documented information related to this clause, basically the SOPs, work instruction, then the production plan, production record for the verification of your product, monitoring, measurement, inspection, testing, storage, distribution, and traceability of records related to the product. So customer requirement, what is you need to identify the customer requirement. So maybe customer requirement may be communicated in terms of the purchase order, and then based on the customer PO, maybe you must be creating a sales order or any your internal communication that you need to define. So record for the review of the customer requirement. So once you receive the requirement of the customer, you need to review and record whether we have reviewed the customer and we are able to fulfill the requirement which is defined by the customer. Then customer feedback, customer complaints, okay, contracts with your service providers, then design and development file, then list of approved external providers and their assessment records, contracts and agreements with the external provider, incoming inspection verification. So if installation is applicable, then installation records. If servicing is applicable, servicing records, sterilization records, validation of the critical processes, so protocols and records for the validation. So dispatch and distribution records, calibration records, records for the preservation of the products. So these are applicable documented information related to clause number 7. So basically, what are the key takeaways for clause number 7? So clause number 7 ensures the full life cycle of the medical devices from the design to the production and distribution. So risk management and regulatory compliance are essential throughout the product realization, and the traceability and documentations are required for design, purchasing, and production. So proper validation, verification, and process control ensures the product safety and the performance of your product. So basically, when talking about the design and development, so based upon the user requirement or the marketing requirement or the market research, there will be some requirement. So that will be the input for design. Okay, so design input. So that will be the input, the innovator sample. Then you will carry out various trials. That will be the design output. And based upon the design output, you will do the verification. So verification may be in terms of the checking the samples as per the defined specifications, then conducting the stability studies of your product if you are defining the shelf life to your product. Then comes the validation. So validation would be the process validation, and then you need to verify that that is meeting the user requirement. So you need to review. So basically there are different stages, that is generating the ideas, that is a literature search, then the screening, then the predicate device review, then user needs analysis, then complaint review. So this will be the basic that is the basic start for your design requirement. Then comes the concept development. The concept development, evaluations of the different scenario, you create different prototypes, then that will be the input for your design and development. Then based on the input, you carry out various trials, and that would be the output for your design studies. So design, product development, so product design, product testing, usability lab, functional test, simulation studies, and then verify that design output, conduct a design review. So design and development review. So in that, you need to perform the verification and validation. So verify your product based upon the defined criteria and conduct the studies related to the verification of your product. Then validation, maybe you can do it at the in-house also, or as per the product, you can do on the marketed sample also. Then you launch a product. Whenever you are launching a product, regulatory submissions, design transfer, you need to complete the design transfer studies, and then based upon that, you can go for the commercial production of the product. So these are the basic steps for the design and development. Then risk management process. So here you need to first identify what are the risk associated with your product, or what are the risk associated with your processes. So define the intended use, identify all the risk related to the usage, of the product. So your product should be safe. Okay. And then what are the criteria for the risk acceptance? Okay. So first you define the risk, then you analyze the risk. So what is the level of the risk, whether it is a high risk, low risk, what are the hazards associated with that? And then you need to define the acceptability matrix for this risk, identified risk, evaluate the risk, and then define the control measures so that you eliminate or you mitigate the risk, whatever you have identified. And then based on that, you need to define the control measures, then identify the residual risk. If there are any residual risks, then identify those residual risks, and then define the additional control measures. And that you need this everything you need to summarize, you need to define for all your processes, right from the design development to the post marketing. Yes, so this is basically the risk management process. Then coming back to clause number 8. So clause number 8.1 is a general requirement. So clause number 8.2 is monitoring and measurement. There comes the feedback, complaint handling, reporting to the regulatory authorities, internal audits, monitoring and measurement of the processes, monitoring and measurement of the products. Then 8.3 is control of non-conforming product. 8.3.1 is a general requirement. 8.3.2 is the actions in response to the non-conforming products detected before the delivery of the product. Then 8.3.3 is actions in response to the non-conforming product detected after the delivery. 8.3.4 is a revert. 8.4 is analysis of data. 8.5 is an improvement. And 8.5.1 is a general requirement. Then comes the corrective action and preventive action. So basically this focuses on how the organization should monitor, measure, analyze, and improve their quality management system to ensure they meet the product conformity and regulatory compliances. So it basically includes the collection of the data, risk management, evaluation of the risk management, conducting the internal audit, okay, handling the non-conformity, and the continuous improvement plans. So basically plan and implement the monitoring and measurement, analysis and improvement activities for the product conformity, process effectiveness and QMS compliances. Define system to collect the feedback from the customer, collect the data from the production and post-production activities. Then define the procedure for complaint investigation, define the internal audit plan, So what would be your frequency for conducting the internal audit? Who will be conducting the internal audit? It should be cross-functional. Okay, so based on that, you maintain records for the internal audits. Define the acceptance criteria for release of the product. Authorized person for release of the product. You need to define the authorized person for the product release. Then define the procedure to perform the rework if in case any rework is required. So what could be your procedure? Who will be authorized to approve the rework procedure? Then define the procedure to handle the non-conformity. Analyze data from feedback, conformity to the product requirements, suppliers, audit, trends of the processes and the product. So based on these, you need to analyze these data and then define the further action plan. Then define the procedure for CAPA management, how you will be defining corrective actions or preventive action if there is any non-conformity. So for clause number 8, the applicable documented information would be the SOPs, work instructions, customer feedback form, post-market surveillance data, customer complaint investigation records, internal audit plan, internal audit reports, then NC closures, product specifications, advisory notices, rework record, and CAPA report. So basically, clause number 8 ensures the continuous monitoring and improvement of the QMS and the products. Then customer feedback and complaints are key drivers for the quality improvement. The non-conformities must be controlled, investigated, and corrected. Internal audits and data analysis help to identify the trend and areas for the enhancement. Then corrective actions and preventive actions are critical for the compliances. So once you identify any non-conformity, define the correction, okay, based on the type of the non-conformity, define the correction first. Correction is an immediate action. Then investigate the non-conformity. And then based upon the investigation, find out the root cause for the non-conformity. Then based on the identified root cause, you can define the corrective action and the preventive action. So preventive action would be to eliminate the cause of the non-conformity. So you need to define these action plans for any of the non-conformity raised in your organization. So basically, compliance requires the legal requirements of the standards, various rules, then the standard requirement, then the compliance to the regulations or the statutory requirement. There should be transparency in your system. The policies needs to be defined. So these are the basic requirements for compliance of your system as per the standard requirement. So what are the regulatory requirements for medical devices? In India, the CDSCO has the Central Licensing Authority, that is a CLA, and the State Licensing Authority, that is SLA, with the responsibility for licensing to import, manufacture for sale or for distribution and sale, stock, exhibit or offer for sale. So CDSCO has the two licensing authority, one is a central and the other is the state licensing authority. So the central licensing authority is responsible for all the import devices licensing and related to class C and class D of the medical devices manufacturing, loan and wholesale licenses. So central licensing authority is responsible for class C and class D of the medical devices, and the state licensing authorities are responsible for class A and class B medical device manufacturing, loan and wholesale licenses. So there is a description for these two licensing authorities. Then SLA assigns a notified body to confirm the requirements of the quality management and technical review for class A and class B medical device manufacturer. So state licensing authority, they assign the inspection part to the notified body for review of their quality management system. Based on that, the licenses are issued by the state licensing authority. So CLA may avail the services of the notified body for inspection, or they itself will do the inspection of the manufacturing sites of class C and D medical devices and the technical review. So see, these medical devices are classified based upon the risk-based approach. So class A basically are low-risk devices, which includes the cotton, absorbent cotton wools, surgical dressings, swabs, etc. Then class B are low moderate risk, maybe a thermometer, the monitoring devices, disinfectant. So there are other kind of products also, but I have listed few of them here. Then C is moderate high risk devices, which includes the implants or hemodialysis catheter, X-ray devices. Then class D are high risk, that is angiographic guide wire, heart valves. Yeah, so there are basically four classes of the medical devices: class A, class B, class C, and class D. So what is the registration process? So to manufacture the medical devices for sale or for the distribution, for class A, class B, class C, and class D, you need to file the application online, that is on the Sugam portal. And then once you apply, once you apply on the online portal, there will be a scrutiny for maybe for class A and class B product. The scrutiny will be by the state licensing authority, and for class C and class D products, the scrutiny will be done by the central licensing authority. So based upon the scrutiny or of these authorities, if there are any queries related to the application process, there will be some queries raised by this authority. We need to comply this requirement, and based upon that, they will be issuing the licenses. Okay. So technical review, and then there will be a on-site review by the notified body in case of the class B, and the license will be issued. For class A, there will be a scrutiny, and then based upon the scrutiny, the licenses will be issued, followed by the inspection or the on-site audit by the notified body. Then for class C and class D, once the scrutiny is done, technical review and the on-site audit will be conducted by the central licensing authority. And then based upon the audit findings, the licenses will be issued by these licensing authorities. So basically, we have tried to cover the requirement for the standard. So there are a lot of requirements pertaining to ISO 13485 2016 standard requirement, but we try to cover the requirement. So thank you all of you. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Or yeah, so thank you. Over to you, Vaibhav.
Thank you, ma'am, for your presentation and explaining topic in simplifying way. Now I request all the participants and delegates, if you have any question, you can unmute yourself and ask directly to the ma'am, or you can put your questions in the chat box also. If anyone have any question, they can unmute yourself and ask directly to the ma'am, or they can put their questions in the chat box also. Ma'am, we can wait for 2 minutes.
Yeah, yes.
Ma'am, there is no questions from anyone. So
Yeah,
can
yeah.
we move ahead?
Yes.
ICS is pleased to provide you all its research and development, integrated management system, QMS, CMS, and OHSS, excellence in education management, ISO made easy in Gujarati, Marathi, and Telugu, and Hindi. For reading any of the above book, please contact me, Sushma Kindalkar, on the given contact details. Feedback form, please register on www.searchgunsung.org and go in your login and give your valued feedback to us. So thank you, Mithila ma'am. Thank you all the participants and delegates for being part of today's Sadgun Sangh. Now it's time to officially close the session. Thank you, ma'am. Have a nice day.
Thank you all of you.